Greg Abbott is actually trying to murder migrants more efficiently. I know. Saw that as well. Let's get started. Actually, let's get started with that. Texas Governor Greg Abbott installed circular saws between the Rio Grande border buoys to maim or kill anyone who attempts to climb over. Bodies have already been found trapped in the floating barrier. He wants migrants to die. Now, this is cruel and unusual and horrifying. But like I said, Americans can find a way to be creative and exercise their creative muscles when they're being fucking racist. This is it. Now, what do I mean by this? A lot of people, I saw this on Twitter. This is uniquely gross, uniquely cruel, absolutely unimaginably cruel. And yet, of course, because cruelty is the absolute point here, conservatives have been celebrating this, comparing it to a barbed wire, for example. Oh, what are you going to tell me the barbed wire is cruel? First of all, yes, it's also messed up. However, having said that, a barbed wire is on top of an enclosure of sorts. It's a fence. So although it is still cruel, this is infinitely more cruel. Do you want to know why? Because these buoys are supposed to be floating objects that you can potentially climb onto when you're braving the elements. Not only is this hidden, but it's also hidden inside of what you, in a moment of survival, could see as a protective tool. This is a booby trap. It's worse than an electric fence with no sign. An electric fence with no sign is still a fence. It's still terrible. It's still awful. But this is even worse than that. It's like having a life raft, but it's actually an explosive inside the life raft. Like you touch the life raft and there's a claymore in it or something. Like, this is genuinely depraved shit. This is war crime territory, absolutely. But of course, doesn't matter. America is a uniquely fucked up nation, filled to the brim with absolute psychopaths. Rio Grande is not a war zone, even though this would be unacceptable in a war zone. This would be akin to a landmine, or even worse, a booby trap, like an incendiary explosive device, an improvised explosive device strapped to a child's toy. Okay? Like, this is truly depraved shit. This is the type of stuff that you only engage in if you are a horrifying monster. Remember, you're talking about bear traps, you're talking about booby traps, but like, it takes it one step further, because this is supposed to be a protective tool. It's a buoy. It's a life raft. It's something that you're supposed to hang on to save your life. It's like a med kit with poison in it. You know what I mean? I'm having a hard time coming up with additional analogies, because the purpose of this buoy is to help people. Anyway. And of course, it's filled to the goddamn brim. This post, this original post, filled to the goddamn brim with people with blue check marks going, no, he doesn't want him to die. He wants him to go home. just like people celebrating it, people saying this is good. People who have never seen concertina wire on the parking garage of an upscale condo building in the downtown area of a democratic city. So what's up? You like that? Like, it's not even a good analogy. It's not even a good comparison. But, like, are you saying that that's good then? Like, is that what's going on? They're trying to both buy your logic out of this situation, but also simultaneously not even doing a good job. I thought he had a win. He does have a win because he's an idiot. You got to understand. When you're a dumbass, you go through life being a dumbass like this, you're already too stupid to recognize that you're a dumbass. Ignorance is bliss. But it doesn't end there. Not only is ignorance bliss, but also now on Twitter, when you pay $8, shit gets highlighted to all the other dumbasses. It's like a dumbass bat signal. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, look at me. I'm a dumbass. Give me some support, please. Other idiots that are online. And then they usually get it. So many of my friends have been talking about how Twitter has become just like increasingly more angry towards them. And I'm over here thinking like, yeah, of course. How could this have gone wrong? Of course, if you set up a structure where people who are stupid enough to pay $8 a month to the dumbest person on the planet will be boosted by the algorithm, of course they're going to. Of course it's going to ruin the platform.
You're all I need. You're all I see. When I close my eyes and dream, you're all I see. You're all I need, all I need, all I need. You're all I need. You're all I see. When I close my eyes and dream, you're all I see. You're all I need, all I need.
I've never seen a concertina wire on an upscale apartment building. By the way, what is this guy talking about? It doesn't even matter. He's making it up in his mind. You know what I mean? Like, he thinks upscale democratic city apartment luxury high-rise condominiums have this. Your tweet about it? Oh, yeah, this. Pete Jar's friend of the show on her alt said, when I started sex work 8 years ago, I was bullied and harassed on another level. But this last year has been almost miserable with harassment online. Luckily, I'm more immune than I was, but why the fuck have people gotten 10x more hateful recently? I said, Elon Musk Twitter is a right-wing shithole where the dumbest people pay $8 a month to get boosted on your replies. True, but sadly, this tweet was not directed at Twitter when I made it. Oh, that makes it even worse. Now, I think Twitter has the capacity to boost that everywhere else. We are, and if you're old enough to know, if you've been around for a while, if you've been a leftist or a progressive for like, I don't know, 10 years, which many of you haven't been paying attention, or maybe your politics were on the other side of the spectrum back then. We are fully in the 2014 era internet, baby. Fully. And I know I called this when Joe Biden became president. I told you guys that this was going to happen. But we are absolutely right there. And this time around, it's not like the, Obama's not doing enough against Islamic terrorism, and that's why I became a right-wing, alt-right Nazi, even though I was originally a Reddit atheist, guys. They're somehow an even dumber group of people. Like, it's just, it has devolved into something even dumber. ...2013, 2014, all the way to 2016 internet era. I was around back then. I was an outspoken progressive back then, right? Some of my opinions have shifted on certain issues, but overall, pretty much the same. And back then, I would get mass downvotes, mass harassment campaigns, doxing, even though I wasn't even famous. You know what I mean? And we're fully in the pocket now. There was a brief moment, or there was a little bit of air, when, you know, Donald Trump was president, ironically, and everybody was like, yeah, maybe shit's still messed up even though we have a conservative in office. But I've been here before. Obviously, I'm a lot less alone this time around, but I've been here before. We're definitely there. 2014 era Republicans are book smart and hateful. 2023 Republicans are brain dead and hateful. They're just more brain dead than they ever were. And there's a lot of like apolitical guys who are just like hyper far right. And back in the day, when people used to say, I'm a centrist, they were actually conservatives, but they were hiding it. Nowadays, when people say, oh, I'm a centrist, I'm not political, fuck this guy. This guy's a, you know, F word, or this guy's lame, or this guy's gay. They actually don't realize that they're conservative. At least there was an art to this whole, like, you know, I'm actually a centrist liberal. I'm a classical conservative. I'm a classical liberal. That type of thing was like a way to mask your conservative perspective. But you had this recognition that deep down inside you were conservative, right? And then you would become more confident and you would openly admit it. And then you would say that you're like a racist Nazi eventually if you got all the way down that political pipeline. Nowadays, these guys are actually stupid. They don't even realize it. Like they genuinely do not even understand that they are like ideologically conservative because there's just nothing up there. They're just like responding to stimuli like animals. And there's a real attitude shift amongst people who are very stupid. It tends to be worse now because everything's a sports team type contest of a real issue of any hateful people. And once you add in that cloud is more of a social currency than ever, it gets nasty. Yep. It's crazy. Yeah, add cloud into the equation and also a lack of shame. The further we move away from, valuing education, the further we move away from valuing media literacy, some level of critical thinking, logic. It's kind of wild that I'm the one who's saying this, right? Like 2014 conservatism revolved around being the guy who makes the best logical and rational arguments. We're actually the side that has science backing them. 2023 conservatism is, no, my feelings are the most important. I'm a conservative. If you are even dunking on me, that's basically a hate crime. Why are you doing that? They are the SJWs at this point. The tweet about how an increased number of people will go for the easy money of right-wing grifting. I mean, I've been saying that for years and years, but it's in overdrive now. That's why it's always funny. So many of my interlocutors, so many of the people who call me out become right-wing grifters later down the line. It's like, what happened? I thought I was the right-wing guy. When did you become a right-wing guy? I thought, 3 years ago, you're shitting on me because I'm not left enough. And now all of a sudden you're a right-winger. How did that happen? There are a lot of there's also like a loser brigade. There's this weird hug box that conservatives do create for you if you're a fallen soldier, you know what I mean? Oh, did you fall from grace? It was feminism and the gays that did that to you. Come over to our side. We'll help you out. Real sad.